leap of faith.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me the most relentless.
Hello, friends, critics, and non-critics alike. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and everything Hollywood related. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined again. My co-host is back. He missed out on Ted Lasso, but he's back for this, for Jungle Cruise, Devin. And later on, just a quick heads up, we're going to be doing a double feature review for this episode. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very, very excited. So we're going to start things off with our Disney's Jungle Cruise review. And then we're going to top it all off with The Green Knight review that Leo from Geekly Goods will be joining me later on. So Devin, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I wish I had like a nice Southern Ted Lasso quip to throw out there.
Smells like potential.
Got so many good one-liners.
Yeah. Did you watch a new episode?
I have not yet. Is there one or two out?
Two is out as of yesterday.
Yeah.
I
think I might wait to binge.
Oh, Devin, no, you got it. I'm so excited. So when we talked about it in our Ted Lasso review, I was kind of excited because, each episode's are on like 30 minutes for season one. And it was nice to binge, but I'm glad that I get to at least go through this week to week with everyone. But I guess that's just me. But everyone has their own preference, and I totally get it. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But we will be doing a season 2 review, Devin, so we hope that you can join us for that one. Definitely. But yeah.
Diamond Dogs.
Yeah. So you've been good. Other than that, how was your week?
Pretty good. Just hanging out, about to move.
Ooh.
Finally.
2
weeks at the parents' place was interesting.
Was it?
Very, very bad internet. Hopefully mine will be better.
Yeah, I can totally understand you there. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like it's even when you're like, we're home for like the holidays, it's like, we're so used to like being on our own, and then, you come home for like a week or two and it's like, okay, that's like my limit for like being home. Like as much as your parents love having you home, they're like, you gotta skedaddle at some point. You gotta go. You got to go. And before we begin today's show, you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener of the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Tell us what you guys think about the show. We do this on a weekly basis. Sometimes we drop 2 episodes twice a week, which has been more frequent now because there's so many things to talk about and there's so many things to discuss. And that's why we're doing this whole double feature review, because we did this a while ago. I think it was I think it was the Ford v Ferrari movie and, the new, oh my gosh, Charlie's Angels movie. That was like,
wow, what a double feature that was.
Yeah, I know, right? Hopefully this time, it is more exciting all around. We have 2 great films here. One is for more of the casual fans, which is Jungle Cruise. It's more welcoming to everyone, more accepting, I guess you can say. And then we have, the critics' wet dream, as a lot of people are calling it on Twitter, as for The Green Knight. So
I'm actually sad I haven't been able to see it yet, but
I do not know if you're gonna like it. I loved it, and I watched a in-depth review of afterwards. You're going to heavy spoilers. Actually, I went on Think Story, and he had a ending explained video, and I loved it. So I want to go back and watch it again, but I'm cautious. I'm interested to see if you're actually going to like it or not, because it seems to be very divisive. I think Cinema Score gave it a C+ for just overall fans, but it seems
I saw the audience score was higher for Fast 9.
yeah, definitely, and that gives you any indication. And there's nothing wrong with people out there who are non-critics or casual viewers. They only go to the theater once or twice a year, maybe even 3 times, just depending on what's out. A lot of my friends haven't gone to the theaters since they've been shut down, but it kind of just depends on, you know, what you do for a living and, you know, how you consume media. But without further ado, let's dive into our first review of the show, Jungle Cruise, after this break.
My name is Dr. Lily Houghton. My brother and I are looking for passage upriver.
What's out there in the jungle? It's not a fun vacation.
Well, I'm not here for a vacation.
Legend has it that there is a tree that possesses unparalleled healing power. It will change medicine forever.
And you need someone to help you find it. Here we go.
Sometimes it just needs a bit of a...
Nobody touches my engine but me. What did I just do?
There you go.
And we are back with our Jungle Cruise review, directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, written by Glenn Ficarra and Ficarra and John Requa. Thank you very much, everyone. I will be here all week. I actually got through that.
Solid.
That was as solid as it's going to be. So I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back there. Thank you. And of course, cast stars Emily Blunt, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Jesse Plemons. And the story is as follows: based on a Disneyland's theme park ride, where a small riverboat takes a group of travelers through a jungle filled with dangerous animals and reptiles, but with a supernatural element. Ooh, very interesting.
You ever been on this ride?
No, I've only been to Disney World once when I was 13. Have you?
Which one is the one in Florida?
That's
That's what I went to.
well, so the one in Florida, well, the name of the ride or between Disney World or in Disneyland?
World or land?
Disneyland is in California, Disney World's in Florida.
Yeah.
I feel like Disney World is way more popular because there is Universal down there as well, and you have Harry Potter.
Universal's really fun.
See, I still got to go to Harry Potter Land, man, or Harry Potter World. Man, it's been a while. And like I hear Disneyland is and Universal way better when, you know, you're of age and, you know, you're over 21. So I hear that's a lot of fun. But
you're butterbeer and you're having a good time.
Exactly, Devin. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be amazing, absolutely mental. Anyway, I don't know where that came from, but Devin, give me your initial thoughts on Disney's Jungle Cruise. I was able to watch it a little bit early. I wrote a review for musiccitydrivein.com. So definitely go check out my extended thoughts there. But I want to give Devin a chance to watch it because he just saw it yesterday. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday at 9:40 p.m. That's when I squeezed it in.
Oh, God.
My AMC theater, which is a downgrade from what I'm used to. But
Solon?
No, I went to the other one that actually has recliners. Which
the one in Solon doesn't have. Okay, I did not know that. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, I was overall pretty pleasantly surprised with this one. I mean, I remember when the first couple trailers came out, I really wasn't like vibing with it. It just didn't really shoot off the screen for me. But then I saw the first trailer in theaters, and I can kind of just see the scope of things they were going with there. And the theater trailer definitely got me more excited just because you can see everything more on the big screen and how adventurous it all is. I actually saw this one with my sister, and it actually ended up being a surprisingly good like brother-sister movie.
Oh,
Didn't
nice.
expect that.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Nice brotherly and sisterly adventure going on.
I didn't know. I didn't know you hung out with your sister. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, man.
Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, our favorite actor, he's at it again. I think he's as charming as ever in this one. I'm curious to hear what you think because
I don't hate The Rock, Devin. I don't have a vendetta against The Rock. I'm just tired of him being in every single movie like in the world. But he is a good actor. definitely the best wrestler turn actor that we have. I do agree with you though. I thought this was a fun ride, and it was in a sense like it. A lot of people were saying that it gave them Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. I did not get that whatsoever. I got more of the Indiana Jones vibe from this. Like
I guess just the main comparison for them saying Pirates of the Caribbean is just because it's a ride turn movie.
Yeah, that is true. I thought it was, a fun, loving joyride just to pull from my.
It is crazy that Disney can just like take these random rides and turn them into full 2-hour-long movies.
Yeah, and and we'll get into the length here in a bit, but yeah, I thought it was great. Like, a nice little thrill ride. It had very nice heartfelt moments as well.
Yeah. I love Jesse Plemons. He's always a good bad guy.
His accent was hilarious, man. But so this for anyone else that before we get any further, we are giving our first initial thoughts first, as always, for those of you who are new listening to the podcast, and then we get into a little bit of spoilers, but just wanted to throw that one out there. But yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or The Rock, we can just say that, I think this is like probably like one of his best roles that he's been in. Like, it's very Jumanji, like, Welcome to the Jungle and Jumanji, like Next Level. Had I think him and Emily Blunt have a really great chemistry together. And it seems that they had a great time filming this movie.
Yes. I really liked their overall chemistry. I'm not sure how I feel about their romantic chemistry. That didn't really pop off the screen for me.
Yeah, it was a little shoehorn there. Like, they kind of hinted at it from here or there, but it wasn't like, again, when it comes to Disney romances, I don't think nothing as tops the random romance that we saw in Rise of Skywalker.
Never again.
What did the novelization say? It was like a kiss of appreciation or something like that. God. I was like, what? I don't kiss my friends like that. That was crazy. But yeah, I'm sorry, Devin, continue.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to go over the twist. I wasn't expecting there to be any twist, but there was.
It was a pretty good twist. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with that as well.
All right. Yeah.
There were some parts in the middle where kind of dragged for me, and I didn't love the ending. But overall, it was definitely a fun ride getting from the beginning to that ending.
Yeah, it really is all about the journey that they take more so than the destination. Like I said, it is very Indiana Jones-esque, like style adventure. And yeah, the twist I actually did not see coming at all. Like, I was like, oh, that was actually pretty good for
it kind of worked.
Yeah, it really did. And they hinted at it none whatsoever. And I like how Disney's able to throw people into these kind of adventures, and that the story really made you feel like you were part of the excursion, the journey, the quest, if you will. And, it's the atmosphere was great. Like, I honestly feel like it was time well spent. To be fair, I feel like it was a little bit longer than what it needed to be. Maybe it should have been around like hour 35, hour 45, maybe around the hour 45 limit, because some scenes are more, like you said, a little bit more dragged out. But and especially with Emily Blunt's, the brother of Emily Blunt's character, I thought he was great. He
stole the show.
Yeah, he really did. He's in, oh my gosh, he is in so many. I've seen him in so many other things, and I'm blanking on the guy's name right now. But when I first saw him,
Jack Whitehall.
That's right, Jack Whitehall. Thank you. He was. I watched him in Fresh Meat, which is like a UK based show, and he was hysterical.
He's in Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Is he really? Oh, Devin always coming in clutch with those nice little trivia moments, because I usually just dive straight on in. So I'm really appreciative that he kind of goes the extra mile there.
That's funny.
Yeah, but let's get into spoilers here. I really quick, what did you think about Paul Giamatti's character before we get into the spoilers?
I really liked it. Just going all out. Just over the top. What was he, Italian?
Something like that.
Just big Italian mobster with a giant gold tooth.
Second movie we've seen him in this year.
Yeah, he was a better villain in this one than he was in Gunpowder Milkshake.
Yeah,
just because he went all out over the top.
Yeah, he was kind of like the pseudo villain, and there's a lot of villains.
He was the mini boss.
Yeah, he was the mini boss. There's like 3 different villains in this entire movie, but
yeah, I really liked the other trio too. They looked pretty cool.
Yeah. The I guess the curse, the conquistador. But let's get into our spoiler section. So that was your first spoiler warning. If you have not seen Disney's Jungle Cruise, I'm just going to say Jungle Cruise because it's hell of a lot easier. Excuse me for my language, but that is your second warning for Jungle Cruise. So if you haven't seen the movie, yeah, pause, go watch it, come back and listen to the rest of our beautiful voices and stick around for our Green Knight review, which will be coming up after our Jungle Cruise review. So, Devin, the big twist.
Big twist. The Rock is 400 years old.
That was crazy.
I feel like that could be a twist in real life. He just reveals he's been around since the 1500s and nobody would be surprised.
Honestly,
like The Rock is just a very traveled man.
What other celebrities do you think could pull that off? Maybe like Paul Rudd? Because he never ages.
Yeah, he doesn't age, so he's definitely 500 years old.
Yeah, but I feel like The Rock would be more reserved with that secret if it were true. But Paul Rudd would be, he would be more out and about. But he's like, hey guys, guess what?
He'd be more vampire-like.
Hey guys, guess what? Hey guys, guess what?
He's sucking everybody's life force for himself.
He would be so open about it, and like nobody would care. And then The Rock would be
look at us.
Who thought we'd get here? Not me. But yeah. So The Rock is 400 years old, excuse me. And, he was a part of the Conquistador, the quest. And that is one issue I kind of had with it.
That scene was strange.
Yeah.
Where they went back in time. I just always think it's hilarious when they give The Rock long hair. Just like in that Hercules movie, it just doesn't work.
Honestly,
just don't do it.
When they give anyone long hair, especially in like sitcoms, it's like, oh, it's supposed to be a younger time. And it's like, oh, we'll just give them more hair because, everyone has more hair when they're younger. But it's literally the same person.
Yeah. Big Hercules vibes.
It's so funny, though. It is so comical that I'm okay with it. But yeah, it's like, whoa. Wow. It's like, all right. I mean, The Rock is ageless. I don't really think you have to go that far, but it is what it is. But I wanted to ask you about Jack White's character with his sexuality reveal, because I know some people on Twitter and just all around from the reviews I've seen weren't super crazy about it. I personally thought it was nice. Like
it's always so tricky with Disney because they just like to skirt around it just enough to where it's safe to show to every country. That's like their thing. So it's like I really don't know how to feel because it's good that they're trying to get stories out there that involve people of different backgrounds, but they also don't like dive in as much as they should. They skirt around it too much.
Yeah, it's almost as if like they're not even like in the shallow water. Well, they kind of were with Loki, and then they kind of like backed out of the shallow water, and they're kind of just like dipping their toes into the water. With Jack,
overall, I loved it for his character. Like,
yeah, I did.
It gave his character a lot more dimension.
Yeah, and like even if he wasn't gay, like I still would have loved him as a character, just because he had like the perfect one-liners. He was a super posh kind of person, coming from England, going
dress
into
casual.
Just his dress casual, and it was comical when you had Emily Blunt with one suitcase, and everyone else is kind of following her down into the Rock's boat, And then The Rock's like, do you need all that stuff? And she's like, oh, that's not mine. It's her brother's. He definitely was hilarious. And I would probably rewatch this movie just for his performance, because the three of them were like spot on. Like, it was just a really, really good trio overall. But I
love when The Rock stages that first attack from his pet, and McGregor's just like, they're like, he can sense fear, and McGregor's like, I have liquid fear.
Excuse me.
More fear is coming out.
More fear. That was hilarious. And I'm trying to think of one-liners myself, but none are really coming to mind. But yeah, just a really great cast overall. What did you think about there being multiple villains? Really quick. It just seems like we had the Conquistadors, and then we had the mini boss with, as we said, with Paul
I wouldn't
Giamatti.
even really call Giamatti a villain. He was just kind of, I guess, The Rock's like human enemy.
Yeah.
Human nemesis.
Yeah. And then who were, I guess you could kind of call, oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, and Jesse Plemons, excuse me. I guess he was like the big bad. But I felt like just overall, like, as you know, as this is for more of, I guess you could say, the kids market or just the general audience, I did find it a little odd, like the pacing, like with the story. Like, I was trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, what was so special about the flower? And like, I can understand about like the medicine, but like the curse thing was a little weird, but like, I kind of got it. Did you get any of those vibes, or was it more just?
I mean, I was kind of picking it up.
Yeah.
I really liked how fast it all starts. Like, I love the first couple scenes with Emily Blunt, just kind of just defeating bad guys with like a bookshelf ladder.
Yeah.
Like, that was really cool. But then, like, as we get into it, like towards the middle, there's like a lot of harsh like stops where the action just stops, and I felt like that really slowed down the movie.
Yeah, especially towards, like, I would say the second act going into the third act. But overall, I thought it was really nice. I thought it was very touching, and you know, small little tearjerker things there, but not as much as Vivo. But we'll get into that later. Did you watch it?
I have not yet.
Oh, Devin, you're in for a ride. I'm telling you. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, was there anything else you kind of like, any positive, negatives you wanted to touch on so we can get on with the rest of the show?
I think the thing that annoyed me the most was how many pants jokes there were.
Oh,
Like the first couple, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I guess women didn't really wear pants back then. That's kind of funny. But then they did it dozens more times.
yeah.
I was just like, come on. Why is this such a big deal?
I think it was more for The Rock to be more of like a flirtatious thing towards Emily Blunt's character. Because like after a while, obviously you can see that they cared somewhat about each other. But yeah, I could definitely see that. And then really quick, I saw some people online were kind of the indigenous people. Some people were kind of like saying that it was like a little bit racist, but I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that. I never really pegged it as that, but I haven't read too much into it either. So it's kind of like,
But where was this taking place? I actually don't remember.
The indigenous
Was it
people part?
Spain?
Oh, the entire movie. I thought it was somewhere in the Amazon. Or no. It was, I think, somewhere off the coast of Spain. I could be wrong. Sorry, guys, if we're kind of wonky on that one, because it doesn't necessarily even say that in the synopsis here. It just says, well, I pulled the synopsis from IMDb. So, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but I'm not sure exactly where it takes place. But, like,
yeah, I did kind of like the part with the indigenous people where he's tricking them again. He does a fake kidnapping. Like you kind of catch on as he's like talking to them in their language. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, this is another fake out.
yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. You know, he's a bit of a trickster, I guess you can.
And then
call
I love how McGregor is showing off his golf clubs, and then the guy ends up using it at the end to save one of them.
Yeah.
Driver.
Yeah, that was great. That was really good stuff. But yeah, I think we have pretty much tackled it a good amount. We went longer than I thought, to be completely honest. But Devin, are you ready to get into our scores?
I believe so.
All right. So I'm actually going to go first this time around. I
guess you should. What did you think of the ending? I didn't really like that she used it on him. It gave me like ending of Last of Us vibes, which is like that's kind of selfish. Like you could have saved the world and you're choosing to save him.
Oh yeah, like it was more pegged towards like, let's have a happy ending for the story type of deal.
But then they end up getting another flower somehow magically.
Yeah, so it's like there's no repercussions anyway.
Yeah.
So all is good. Like they knew. Yeah, it's nothing new. It's all good in the hood, dude. Like it's it is what it is, I guess you could say. But yeah, that was very.
It just felt like he was ready. He was ready to sacrifice himself. He was ready to go. He's lived 400 years. Like you didn't have to bring him back.
Yeah, and he's like, he even says that he's tired of like living. Like he's
like why did you have to use it on him?
I don't know, man. You know what? Reasons. Because reasons. It's because
they had to fall in love.
Yeah. It's like with Screen Rant with the sales pitches that they do with that Ryan guy. And he's like, oh, you just get off my back about this? Okay. But yeah, let's get into our scores here really quick. I'm actually just going to give this one the same score that I gave my written review, which is a C+. Overall, you know, like I said, I thought it was a great ride, you know, a lot of thrills, a lot of jokes, very heartfelt. And it's a good movie for people to, just a general audience or just any audience to enjoy. And I really liked, you know, how it started off with like the Indiana Jones type, you know, those are willing to seek a wild ride on the wild side, as I put in my written review. But definitely go check out more of my thoughts over there. Devin, what would you give Disney's Jungle Cruise?
I would give it a solid 70.
Mm-hmm. So like a C-.
Yeah. There. Like I said, I didn't love the ending and then some of the middle parts, but overall it was a fun ride.
Well, it's a Disney movie. It's supposed to have a nice ending. Like it
was a frustrating ending. He put that flower in his mouth and I was like, oh, come on. Don't waste that flower on a 400-year-old guy who wants to die anyways.
She said, not today. Not today. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that pretty much tackles everything we wanted to cover here in the Jungle Cruise segment of this review. And we will be right back with our Green Knights. We'll be right back with our The Green Knights review after this short break.
O greatest of kings, let one of your knights try to land a blow against me. Indulge me in this game.
I will meet thee.
One year hence.
All right, and we are back after the break. Devin has gone home to move into his new apartment, and I am joined by Leo from the Giggly Goods YouTube channel. Leo, how are you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm good. This movie was unreal. Like, this was so good, but it was deep, very rich with lore and just a lot of world building, but a very deep and heavy themed movie. Like, this really gets you wrapped up into it, and it gets you just like, I don't know, in a trance. It's so good, man. I can't wait to talk about The Green Knight.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. I saw it last night after contemplating seeing it Thursday, but I was like, you know what? Gotta watch some Titans, and then we'll get into The Green Knight. Kind of had to try to like split the two between both of them. But that is okay. But I do agree with you. Since this is more of like our initial reactions, I didn't know anything about this movie going in. Like, you know, we had a lot of our colleagues, a lot of critics out there who were able to see the movie a little bit early, including yourself. And I didn't want to watch or read anyone's review until after I saw the movie. So now I'm kind of like going back, looking at people's reviews and reading people's reviews about it, because I just didn't want to know. I didn't want to run to any spoilers, like, at all. Just, and Leo knows what I'm talking about because he's cursed, unfortunately, but hopefully the curse will end soon for him. But yeah, it was a very, at first I thought this was originated from the book, The Green Knight, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, but apparently it's a poem. And I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. And from when I watched, it felt like it kind of played out more so as like a poem over, like, instead of them going like the heavy action, route, with all the fighting and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to get more of your initial thoughts because I've actually been talking for a while.
I understand.
I was trying to like catch my breath here a little bit, but just give me more of your initial thoughts and what you thought of the movie and what worked and didn't work for you without giving away spoilers. Of course.
Chris is like, let me pass the mic a little bit so I can get a break, my guy. I've been yapping it up. But man, I really, really enjoyed this film. The first thing I noticed right off the bat is just how beautiful the cinematography is. I mean, the visuals are absolutely gorgeous with these different hues of green that just blend in so well with the production design and the set. The location is incredible and immaculate. I mean, it looks like a Camelot, and it looks like a very realistic Camelot. Like you're really taken back into that era of medieval England. So it's really well executed on its look. The wardrobe is amazing. Dev Patel is great. The look of the Green Knight and how big and giant and damn near impossible he looks is just absolutely incredible. And it captivates you from the very beginning. As soon as the Green Knight enters the court, that's when I was just like, holy crap. I was along for the ride, man, because that challenge was a lot to wrap my head around. You make this blow and then I will exchange the same blow 1 year from now. When I saw him cut his head off, I was like, my guy, what are you doing? You about to lose your head, right? But it was such a cool journey to follow, going back to the cinematography. The shots were just so wide and well composed. You had these big, giant, larger than life shots that just showed us the environment around him. And he was just so small within the shot that it felt that you were like on the journey with him. And the cuts were just very natural. They really were some nice long takes in there that really allowed you to kind of take in the environment. So I absolutely loved the look of the movie. And then it was I will say this, the story was a little hard to wrap my head around. Like I was following the challenges and what was going on with him and the tests of chivalry and his knighthood and the many different codes that come with knighthood. I could tell that that's what they were going with these challenges and presenting him these very difficult roadblocks before getting to the Green Knight. But it was a lot. It was a lot to wrap your head around. And I got to admit, like, first watch, just kind of taking it all in, I was like, what the heck is going on here? But I like that a lot. Like I like a movie that doesn't give me the answer directly. I kind of like to interpret, okay, what am I watching here? I like a little bit of a chase. I like a little bit of a mental examination, if you will. Like I like to actually just study the film and see, okay, what can I extract from it before I go read up Sir Gawain and the Green Knight in the poem. I want to, be able to extract a little bit of nuggets myself and see, okay, can I figure this out? And that's very much what the Green Knight is. It's a journey that you really have to figure out as you're on it. Like you're really on this journey with him, but it looks great. I love some of the CG, that cute little fox. What a cute little sprinkle of orange in there. But man, this is in the trailer, y'all, so I'm not spoiling. When he started talking,
yeah, I was like,
that took me back. I was just like, what? Our guy is talking? And he has like a character poster and everything. So that fox is important. But the supporting cast is great too. Alicia Vikander and Joel Egerton, great. You also have a really cool script, and just even though the pacing was a little slow, that probably is one of my complaints. I could see why it really wanted you to study it, to really take and grasp it all in and come along with it. Amazing sound design. Amazing. I mean, these cool little synths and those creepy choir voices were just amazing, dude. Mind-blowing score. And it's just, man, The Green Knight was one of A24's best shot movies easily. Easily.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Pretty much, echoing everything you say. And I'm sorry, I really just had to take a few coughs there because it was getting a little.
Oh, no problem. Oh, and David Lowery,
crazy.
I think is underrated. He's very underrated. Yeah. I don't really love a ghost story. I really don't like the pie eating in the middle of the movie, but I do like some of his other films, and I think he is a very underrated director. I
agree. And and I actually meant to mention this earlier, but this is directed and written by David Lowery and stars Dave Patel, Alicia Vikander, like you said, and Joel Egerton. And the story is a retelling of the medieval story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knights. And it's just, I do agree with you with this. This is the kind of film that requires multiple viewings in order to get what's going on. And, I really do want to see this movie like as quick as possible again, because like you, I do enjoy the kind of mental gymnastics of like, okay, what does this mean? Or like, is this meant to be, of more interpretation and what have you? Because going through the movie, and I watched a video after, I'm not going to lie, just to kind of wrap my head around everything. I had to, and it seems that, especially with the ending, which we'll get into in a little bit, there's 3 different endings that it could be interpreted to. Mm-hmm. And I saw a few of our colleagues on Twitter, tweeting out, they're like, oh, like this is a Christmas movie. And I was like, what do you mean by a Christmas movie? I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. So it does start on Christmas and ends a year on Christmas Day. So that is pretty much the general consensus, but I really like how they've been marketing this as well, because I feel like they've been educating people on what this is. There's like a Instagram video about like the Green Knight and where it originated from, and the original author is anonymous, and that actually throws that into the film itself. But with Dave Patel, and just it was some really great cinematography. Like, I'm like, I want that as my banner. No, I want that as my Twitter banner. It was some great stuff. But I feel like we've kind of touched on the general consensus of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen The Green Knight, this is your first spoiler warning before we get into the weeds. Again, this is your second spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, turn back, come back, and listen to the rest of the podcast. And let us know your thoughts on Twitter and Instagram at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. But so let's get into this. I really had to catch my breath there.
I'll admit, I have not been keeping up with the marketing at all. And after this, I'm going to go watch a couple of videos because I did not watch any videos. I've kind of just been letting it sit with me a little bit. Like, I just wanted to soak it in. I actually read the synopsis of the poem, though. So I'm like,
oh, did you really? Okay.
Yeah. And I think it actually played out a little bit better in the film, but there's like a few differences in the poem. But it kind of keyed me into things that I was like, oh, I had no idea. Like it really keyed in a couple of points that I wouldn't have got without reading that synopsis.
Yeah. And from what I've noticed like I said, like I really just I was like, I need to understand what's going on like right away. So when I go back and watch it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see it in a different light. But the entire film, it seems like, through the marketing, they did say there is a moral within the story. And the moral of the story seems to be like the nature of like chivalry. And through all the tests that he went through, there was 5, I believe it was. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it was the 5 virtues of the knights, which is friendship, generosity, chastity, curiosity, and piety. So, obviously everyone's favorite, quote unquote, I guess you could say, would be like chastity in a way, because everyone's like, ooh, whatever. But I really like how he goes through this journey of after striking or beheading the Green Knight, as you said. I'm like, you could have just like left a little scar, like a mark on his cheek. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Like that's as best as I can. Cause he's not a knight yet during the beginning of the movie. You know, he is the nephew to King Arthur through King Arthur's half sister, which is Gawain's mother, or Gawain's mother. So I was trying to figure out what the relationship was there. Cause
same, cause he called her a sister, and I'm like, y'all, she's brown and you're not.
I was
What's
like,
going on here?
how does that work? No, it's all right. But like I'm familiar with Arthurian legend, but I never really got the privilege or like the opportunity to dive deeper into it in school. Cause like we kind of touched on it a little bit, but, and we didn't really have like a lot of college courses or like English courses about Arthurian legend, going through college. So like the whole thing is like, I understand the general consensus, but there's so much more to dig into. And we see Merlin a little bit in this film as well. And so I thought that was a nice little touch, but it's such a mind twist because we have, you know, Sir Gawain going on this journey that allegedly seems that his mother summoned the Green Knight through help of Merlin to teach him a lesson about, I guess, responsibility and just about being a knight. Cause like we said, he's not a knight yet. Mm-hmm. And he kind of goes through these tests, and there's like 3 different endings from, I think it was from Think Story on YouTube. He said that the first ending was, you know, he goes on the journey and he, you know, as soon as he meets the Green Knight, he cowers away, and then he spends the rest of his life in like misery and like nothing but pain and grief and whatnot.
Which we saw that in the movie.
Yeah. And then the second ending would be him just, you know, honoring, you know, being a man of his word, being a man of honor, and taking the blow.
And we didn't see that, but we kind of like it kind of ended on that a little bit because I didn't see these 3 endings, but to me, now that you spell it out, it does seem like that first one was played out, the second, and then the other 2 can be interpreted by the ending because it's less so ambiguous. It's like, oh, well, he could have killed the Green Knight and got away, or like, you know, what's the third ending? So
the third ending would be him. Well, like, so it was, since it was his mother who conjured the Green Knight, the third ending would be, you know, making him go through this entire test and having Sir Gawain pretty much be ready to essentially say, you know, like, I'm going to follow through with this. I'm going to, you know, be a man of my word, and I'm going to let you behead me. But he ends up actually having a second chance and kind of taking that journey back to Camelot to understand his mistakes and whatnot. So
that would have been cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the best. That's the happiest ending for sure.
Yeah, the happiest ending. It's like, oh, you know, he's almost, you know, he's ready to go there, and, you know, let's see if he, you know, makes it through this journey. He's like, you know, I messed up, you know, like I went through all these trials, and, you know, it seems that because like the ending, you know, with the Green Knight, it was kind of more of like a playful ending. You know what I mean?
It was. It kind of left it to your own interpretation because it just ended on the Green Knight looking at him, and then boom, it's over. So anybody could interpret that completely differently. Maybe the smile means I'm going to give you another chance and I'm going to let you get away. Maybe the smile means, okay, you're honoring your word. Goodbye. This is the final blow. It's a nice kind of left up to the viewer, kind of like the end of The Killing Joke. You just give it to the viewer, let them interpret how they want to. I definitely interpreted it that like he got killed. That was his consequence for failing a lot of those tests, because going through the different trials, it's like he was on the right path and then he's almost there and doesn't make it, because even in the first test where he has to get the woman's head from underneath the water, where he messed up in that test is when he asked her, what does he get in return? And she said, you're not supposed to ask me. Like, why are you asking me what to get? You're supposed to be chivalrous, supposed to be a knight. You're supposed to just dive under the water and grab it anyway. And so that was like his failure of that test. The first test was that he couldn't even spare that guy. He only spared that guy a dime. He couldn't even actually stop and actually, you know, help him out, ask him what he needed help with. He just kept going. So it was like, okay, they came back and robbed him. That was his consequence for that one. And then I'm assuming the second one, maybe the woman would have maybe come back to life had he not asked her that question.
Yeah.
And then the third one, obviously being with Alicia Vikander taking the scarf, you know.
Yeah. Like that
taking
whole
the magic
exchange.
scarf. Yeah. And the little explosion on the scarf that happened. That's all I'm gonna say. I was just like, oh,
it was.
man.
I mean, we're in spoiler territory, so we
That's
can.
true,
Yeah, but I know what you mean. For all the viewers out there, if you've seen it, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Homeboy made a mess on that ride. Let's just.
I mean, I don't know, man. Being at that brothel all day during Christmas Eve, you know, you think he'd be kind of. Well, then again, that was a year later, so it's like the whole thing starts with him being in that brothel on Christmas Eve. And it seems that like his mother was just more disappointed that, you know, he wasn't taking his vows or like his dreams of becoming a knight seriously enough. I mean, it's a kind of a messed up way to like do some parenting, you know, but it's like, it's weird because it's like, how would she know that he would be the one, that Sir Gawain would be the one to step up and say, I'll accept the challenge because, oh, you know, it's
because he wanted honor from the get-go. Remember, he wanted that honor. He wanted, so this was a way for him to prove to how honorable he was. He stepped up, made the challenge. First and foremost, the biggest thing about it all, though, is I trace back to the beginning. I'm like, how come he didn't just love tap homeboy on the shoulder? Like,
right.
All right, man. I'll see you in a year, my guy.
Like, I'll cop like an ear or something.
But he wanted the story, you know, he wanted to be able to have that experience and say, like, I beheaded the Green Knight, and to have the famous story and to have a legend about himself. So I could understand why he cut off the head. I'm just like, dude, that was a horrible mistake. You know, you should have just go ahead and tapped homie on the shoulder, on the leg, or whatever, you know. Hey, man, see you in a year, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, but
chop off a finger. But I will say the Green, he was taunting him though. He was like, oh, let me just put my neck in this amazing position over here. You know, you don't have to behead me, but like, you know, it's just like right there. Like, it's all good.
And he knew he would take it too, because he's the young one, you know, and that's the thing about all the knights there. They all knew, like, I don't know, my man, this is fishy. They all knew, they all had the experience of knighthood and chivalry before, and none of them were going to get up and just behead this random guy. But Sir Gawain was the perfect person to take these trials on and test himself.
That was fantastic. And like the more and more we talk about it, like the more and more I need to go back and watch it.
A second watching of this sounds actually amazing, because if you get the story and you get a breakdown and then go back and watch it, I feel like the experience will be even better, because then you'll be able to understand, okay, like, boom. That's another complaint I had about this movie. The font was not legible for me. I was like, when the title card would come up, I was like, what does that say?
Yeah.
Especially
every
the
other
Alicia
title
Vikander
card.
One, I can't tell you what that said, man. I was like,
I didn't know what it said either.
That.
There was a guy sitting next to me. I actually wanted to ask you before I get into that. How was your audience? Well, you saw it with, you know, other fellow critics. So how did they respond?
Completely
to it?
silent. I mean, throughout the whole film, there was no sound at all. Like,
that's a critic screening for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to the critic screening of Avengers Endgame, and that was not quiet.
Oh, did you really? Okay, nice.
That wasn't quiet, man. But there were big moments that happened in that movie. But yeah, everybody was just kind of taking it all in. And
yeah.
I don't think there was like maybe
like some pencil
10,
scribbling
people. No, like a couple people writing down. I need to get better about that myself. But like, I just think that you know, when a movie like that, it's a little hard to be vocal because it's just so much to take in. It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
It is. It really reminds me of, and I bring up Game of Thrones for like literally everything. You know this, but it's like when I first started watching Game of Thrones, like I never read the books, and you know, I started watching the show, and I understood some storylines because there are a lot of storylines within that show, but a show like that, like much like The Green Knight, it does warrant multiple rewatches and more research of like YouTube videos or even other people's reviews to understand the full picture, because it's just what it, but like that's what makes it so great. It's like, it's not that it's not disinteresting, because some people are like, oh, well, I didn't really like it because like I watched the first season and that was it. And it's like, well, if you don't understand what's going on, you're not gonna like it. So it's kind of like, if you just don't like that kind of medieval, type of genre, I totally understand. But I kind of implore people, like, just give it at least to like season 2, at least for Game of Thrones, because that's where it started gaining popularity. And with the Green Knight, like, everyone's been saying this is the, film Twitter's wet dream of like cinematography and things like that. And it looks great. It really, really does. And, like a lot of things we've been talking about, like they brought up and Think Story YouTube channel. And I'll have to send it to you because it just makes so much perfect sense. I was like, oh wow. And even the explanation of why the night is green was actually kind of cool. So it's like those small little dialogue options. And also shout out to Erin Kellyman, by the way, killing it. I had to put it in there. But
I mean, she did great in her little role.
Yeah.
It's nice that they didn't really push Vikander and Joel Egerton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least, look, guys, I didn't watch no trailers. I didn't go looking for nothing for this because I just kind of wanted to go in fresh.
Yeah.
Which for a lot of A24 movies, I tend to find myself just like, let me just wait till I get there so I can interpret it as certain. I didn't watch nothing with Zola. Like A24, I just kind of typically let that experience happen while I'm in the theater. But I know there were character posters, so maybe Alicia Vikander had one and Joel Egerton, but I didn't see them like pushed heavily.
No, they weren't. Neither was Erin Kellyman. Like I found that out looking up like the IMDb like prior, like she wasn't in the trailers or anything like that. And that's what I really appreciated. Like it was just, it just was. And like, obviously I did watch the trailer when it first came out, but like even with A24 films, it's like the trailer's not going to tell you anything. So you might as well just not even watch the trailer and just go in blind because like, I mean, a lot of their movies are just they have these ambiguous endings. Like even with Waves, I was like, I really liked the first half of it. The second half I liked, but not as much. It felt like two, movies put together, but it just had it. I feel like they have a little bit more of a closing, but it's just, even with, oh my gosh, what was Uncut Gems? I was like, well, yeah. I wasn't super crazy about it, but I was just like,
lots of shouting.
Really? A lot of shouting. And even with
Adam
like the
Sandler on the phone, like
I know, it's like, oh my gosh.
But I did love Uncut Gems, I gotta say. But
yeah,
I like that this is ambiguous though. I feel like if it would have had a definite ending, it wouldn't have left me as mystified about the whole thing, because I feel like, okay, think about if the ending was like he chopped his head off. It was just like a shot of him bringing the axe down. You hear a sound effect and then cut to black.
I thought that was going to happen.
But then would we be as interested in going back watching it again if that was the ending?
Absolutely not.
I mean, it's this, when films do this and comic books, and I've recently reread The Killing Joke, so I keep on referencing that. But like when comics do that and movies do that, it really interests you in actually going back again and dissecting it even deeper, because there's no definite ending.
Yeah, it's
you
like
just
Inception.
End it on like a whatever you want to feel. It's awesome. And then you just like look at the title of The Killing Joke and you're like, well, I mean, did Batman probably killed him? Like,
I think. Maybe. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's like, we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, it really is one of those, like even with, oh my God, there's just so many ambiguous endings when it comes to so many movies. And usually I used to hate it when I was younger. So I was like, well, this is dumb. But now it's like, oh, I kind of like this because it has that rewatchability. And even with Inception, like how many times have I seen Inception? More times than I care to admit, because that movie is amazing.
Still don't get it though.
And I still don't understand it. And it prompts me to rewatch it every single time over and over and over again. And it's like, I understand it to a certain point and then it just falls off. And I'm like, I'm determined to figure out what it could be, but I like how, like, even to this day, there's just so many, like, there's so much conversation around it. And that's what I like about it. When you have a movie that keeps the conversation talking, like, after the credits have rolled. So I think it's something special for sure. So congratulations to David Lowery.
Oh, yes. Right on, Mr. Lowery.
Seriously. But I wanted to pass it over to you, Leo. Was there anything else you wanted to mention, like pros or cons, before we kind of close out here?
Yeah, I would say the con one big glaring con of this movie for me is the pacing.
Yeah.
I think that there are some things that are just dragged on a little too long for the sake of like exhibition and visual. And I'm like, okay, like we can cut some of that out. Like the biggest thing I can think back to is when he finally reached the temple and the Green Knight was just like sitting there sleeping. I'm like, okay, we really don't need to like see all these shots of him with his eyes closed. I get that they want to build the anticipation of what's going to happen, but like we literally saw Gawain just sit down on the ground. the Green Knight peeked his eyes open, went back to sleep. Another night goes by. Like, okay, and there are several moments in the movie where I feel they do that, and I'm like, I know this is to build a little anticipation, but let's hurry up.
Yeah,
like because after that we got a whole kind of pseudo ending.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm more interested in hurrying up to that than I am like prancing around in this one scene for maybe a couple of beats too long. So I think some of the pacing was just a little out of pace. It could have been a little quicker, but I did enjoy the slow burn of getting to the end and taking a little while to get to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I do agree with, like, I feel like this movie, like, it's around the 2 hour and like 5 minute mark, something like that. I feel like it could have maybe just like 15 minutes shorter, maybe just, I mean, I don't know how long, you know, with each drawn out scene, but when he finally reached the Green Knight, I was like, is this doing the Avatar state? Like, what's going on? He's just sitting there and like out of nowhere. And then the Green Knight just opens up his eyes. I was like, oh, okay, he's awake. I'm like, he's like, is it Christmas? I'm like, no, it's not Christmas. He was just sitting there. I was like, it's like Sokka and Tara just like, oh my God, Aang's in Avatar state and we can't really help
like,
him.
What is happening,
like,
bro?
What's
what
going on?
You walk up to his face and you just knock on him like, dog, you waking up or what?
I love it how the Green Knight, he wakes up, he's like, is it Christmas? He's like, no. It's like, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Right, not like he could check his watch, right?
Right. It's like, nope, no, I was just making sure that this was the right place for when I come back. But yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. What do you think? Oh, I think we lost him here first.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got everything. Yeah, we pretty much covered it all, but I just think this is one of A24's best in a little while. Not that there was anything glaringly horrible about Zola, but that ending was awful. And then, you know, you're just thinking of some of the A24 like hallmarks like Lady Bird and Eighth Grade and maybe even Hereditary, Midsummer, and Moonlight. Like it kind of rolls up there with some of their top ones. Like this is really good, but it's divisive. I think most of their films are. So
oh yeah. And this is more of a film for more of the critic. I think Cinema Score gave like a C+, and everyone was like enraged, like, oh, how could you? And rah, rah, rah. It's like, I mean, I understand. Like, I mean, even Devin, he said he wants to see it, and I'm like, I do not think Devin's going to like this movie whatsoever because he doesn't like more of the slow burn stuff. Like, it's fine where, you know, there's slow burns like here and there, but like this is more of a buildup of anticipation of, you know, the journey and what he learns and the trials that he pretty much fails on. But I told them like, hey, you know, like definitely check it out. But if not, that's totally cool. Like, I just don't know if he's going to like it or not. So it is what it is. But that concludes our review of The Green Knight. I wanted to thank Leo seriously so much for coming on, you know, helping us review certain things. It's always great to hear other critics' voices within the community, especially Black critics' voices throughout the community as well. So I wanted to give, you know, as always, you know, give you a chance to let everyone know what's coming up on your channel and where they can find you on the internet.
Well, hey, yeah, as usual, I really appreciate that, man. Appreciate you having me on and talk a little Green Knight. We'll talk some Titans too. So excited about that. But yeah, come on over to youtube.com/geeklygoods. And then you can find me at leo.rydell on both Instagram and TikTok and at Leo Rydell on Twitter. And coming up on the channel, we've got some nice juicy things. We've got recently, I just had the Suicide Squad come out, but I will be having a review and a reaction for both Vivo, and I have a reaction for Captain America: The First Avenger coming up soon, as well as I'm going through the MCU for the first time actually in chronological order. So I've been through all these movies, don't get me wrong, but this is the first time I'm watching them all in their chronological date by date order. So I'm super excited to go back through them in this way and in this format. So I'll be posting those on YouTube once a week. Stay tuned for that. And then, yeah, we got Vivo. What else is coming out next week? The Suicide Squad already came out. So I'll be doing maybe more of a spoiler review and or breakdown, or maybe a look at the predictions that we did. See how we did. And
Titans. You got your Titans covered.
And Titans as well. So yeah, come on over to the channel.
Yes, it's gonna be a great time. You know, we're actually going to review Titans coming up for Film Optix, and of course, you know, I'm assuming that Leo will be doing more of a week-to-week coverage. For us, it might just be the first 3, and then once the series finale hits, you know, we'll do something just because we have a lot of other things to get to. But if you want a week-to-week, you know, kind of breakdown, which I'm assuming, like I said, Leo will do. You know, I don't want to throw that out there and be like, oh yeah, he's going to do it, but no. But yeah, definitely check out his channel. He makes some really great stuff. One of the best critics out there, and has great screen presence. And yeah, let's close out here, and we'll see you guys next time. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys next time.